One day I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine.
And that jarring cacophony for the 500th flipping time tells you you're back with The Power with Three, the podcast without portfolio, the podcast where we like to discuss, discourse, digest and disagree as we make our way around the Doctor Who universe. I'm Kenny Smith and I'm joined by three of my great mates, two of whom I've seen very recently in person and the other whom I regularly see on screen. So Stevie, we haven't seen you in person in a while, have we?
No, we haven't. I do try and think I must meet up with you guys when you guys are going to meet, but it never happens. But anyway, I'm delighted to be on the 1500th episode of The Power of Three. Obviously, I've time travelled a little bit and come back, but it's great to be back. Great to see everyone, even if you are all on screens. You're all looking wonderful.
John, good to see you too.
Good to see you guys. Yeah, always a delight to be invited to, debate, discourse.
Discuss and disagree. Digest as well.
Disagree and digest and diatribe. No, we never diatribe. But no, lovely to be here for such a special episode. I was hoping you were going to ask me to do the black and white intro speech, but never mind. That's fine.
And of course, the third voice the third of the other voices, or the fourth voice in total. You better say hello as well. The fella who I spoke to this afternoon and saw last Sunday.
Hello, yes, David here. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. Episode 500. Who'd have thought it? Time on for good behaviour, etc., etc.
Absolutely. I was actually having a quick look back, and over the course of the past 3 years since Power of Three returned from its hiatus, reinvigorated by my trip to Gallifrey in 2023, don't like to talk about it.
Did you go to Gallifrey?
Yeah, I don't like to talk about it, Stevie.
You never mentioned it.
No, but it's only been 388 episodes in that time, so...
What the hell?
You like?
Yeah, busy.
By way of mild contrast, the Earth 2 podcast releases its 300th episode, I think, was it next week? 2 weeks' time? 2 weeks' time it will be from the point of recording. But we're normal, we just do one episode a week with a fortnight break at Christmas.
You're like the schools.
More or less.
Pretty much, but...
Dave, do you mean you don't decide that one day that you're not so busy, so there's only 7 days in the week, but you're going to release 13 episodes?
I think Peter would die if we had to try and achieve that.
Hopefully he won't.
I think, Peter and I always say, if we didn't have to work, if we were both independently wealthy, we wouldn't do anything else but just record and do the Earth 2 podcast,
Yep.
Unfortunately, real life gets in the way.
Absolutely. Listeners, if you think Peter should do 13 episodes in 7 days, please send an email to theearth2podcast@gmail.com and tell him, because he'd be delighted to hear from you.
He will tell you to F off, I'm sure. Yeah. But please do send him an email. I'm sure he'd love to hear from you regardless.
Absolutely. But we're not here to celebrate episode 300 of the Earth 2 podcast, which will be worth listening to. We're talking about episode 500 here on The Power of Three. And to celebrate, what better way than by looking at something that's kind of relevant with season 21 coming up and discussing a lost story, because we're going to be looking at the Zeldon. Now, according to shannonsullivan.com/therwho/lost/lost5.html, the Zeldon, writer William Ems, characters the Fifth Doctor Tegan Turlough, episodes 4, planned for season 21, stage reached, storyline, synopsis, unknown. And the notes state, Ems, who had written Galaxy 4 in 1965, offered this idea to the production office around 19 1983. So, did anybody know anything about this one at all? Because I have to admit, it's a new one in me.
Not a thing. I'm now understanding a bit more now that you said it's William M's and the connection with Galaxy 4. So yeah, I'm beginning to say, right, okay.
Yeah.
I'm beginning to see some similarities, shall we say?
I would say yes.
The
I
two
would say
stories.
I saw. I couldn't place it, but it felt very familiar. I just couldn't say where from.
Yeah, Dave.
I was aware that William Ems had kind of started agitating again in the mid-80s because one of his unused stories ended up as a Choose Your Own Adventure novel. I can't remember which one. It'll be over there. I could go and have a look.
The Imp. It was originally Doctor and the Imps that became something similar.
Yeah. So I was kind of. I think I knew that he'd got in touch with and offered his services, as it were. Yes.
Well, there we go. I suppose we've set it up. Why don't we listen to it and find out? And here's the background from Craig Brawley.
There are two cities on the planet Z. One belongs to the Bevars, who have come to believe that life is entirely a gamble and live it accordingly. Thus, for instance, even the law can end up applied by chance. The reason for their attitude is that throughout their existence, they have been preyed upon by the denizens of the other city, the Zeldon. The Zeldon can appear among the Bevars with no warning and snatch any of them for labour. Their city, Drana, is complex and technologically advanced, but depends upon a power source generated by a symbiosis between a particular virus and an otherwise normal plant, which then generates hot power. The process has to be constant, and like a process of farming, the virus constantly bred and reintroduced to the plant. Over a period of time, the virus infects those handling it. They develop a purplish colour, and they die, to be replaced by others. Thus the Zeldon look upon the Bevars as little more than cattle. The Bevars are blonde, slight, and beautiful. The Zeldon are big, one-eyed, and wear clothing that looks like armour. The Zeldon have guns much resembling miniature typewriters. Their chief function is to make the person aimed at subservient to Zeldon will, quite unable to use his own wits. The Bevars have nothing equal to it, and are too hedonistic to apply themselves to finding one. It's a difference of nature. They are gentle, the Zeldon are not. Doctor Who and the Zeldon by William Ems. Part 1. Doctor Who and Co. materialise in the Bevar city of Dilar. They emerge to find an amazed man staring at them. He is fascinated and considers the materialisation quite a trick. He takes them to see the leaders, for as he says, it is necessary to know who is in the city and who gone. Tegan, however, has gone back into the TARDIS for something she forgot, and emerges to find them gone. She sets out to find them. Who and Turlough are brought before the leaders. They are worried about Tegan, but are asked to remain quiet until the trial is over. Trial? We have to establish that you aren't working for the Zeldon. But that's an inquiry. No, as you'll see, it's a trial. The questioning starts. Tegan, meanwhile, has met a young couple who have taken her into their home. The conversation is oblique, but they insist it's chancy for her to wander too far. Why? They exchange glances and change the subject. They will feed her, then take her to the leaders. The Doctor is growing testy at the questioning, which all seems pointless to him. He asks just what it is they are afraid of. They say that they are prepared to leave their destiny to fate, but not to actually invite disaster. Who is more confused than ever? Tegan has eaten. The couple look out through all the windows while wondering whether to go. Finally, they tip 5 dice-like objects from a box. The dice are more than 6-sided and have alternative white and black faces on them inscribed with various figures. They roll and white predominate. So they go, though the girl is worried about one particular black facing up. The Doctor and Turlough refuse to answer any more questions, so the chief instructs the leaders to reach their verdict. They all take out a pack of cards and begin to shuffle them. These too are black and white, with various emblems upon them. Then each cuts and holds up his card. White wins, so they are told they are free. Immediately, Who asks about finding Tegan? Again, glances are exchanged, but they agree to help. Tegan and the couple are heading for the centre. The Doctor and his companions set out on their search. Tegan sees the Doctor and Turlough and is about to run to them when there is a frightening roar and 3 Zeldon appear, a terrifying sight, their weapons at the ready. Who and Turlough are restrained by their friends, who tell them they cannot help. Close up, the Zeldon, weapons aimed, Tegan and the couple cowering away.
Part 2. The Zeldon use their weapons and shepherd away the will-less trio. Who and Turlough are taken forcibly back into the city and locked away for their own good. Tegan and the couple are taken straight to work in the fields. Their job is to carry a revolting-looking substance into the fields and spread it among and over the plants. Their senses return, but it is soon made plain to them that any disobedience results in great pain. There are also others working in the fields, extras. The female leader, Norrell, interviews Who and Turlough and tries to extract a promise that no attempt will be made to rescue Tegan. She meets a flat refusal. "Very well," she says. "Until you make the promise, you stay here." Tegan, working, glances up and screams. A man is watching her, but his face is a puce colour and marked with scales, as is what can be seen of the rest of him. Norrell speaks with the other leaders. She is in favour of letting Who free, but the rest fear he will disturb the Zeldon and there will be fierce retribution. An argument follows, but she still loses. Tegan and the couple find that the puce-faced man can talk. He reveals that he is a Bavar and has worked in the fields for a long time. To Tegan's urgent questions, he replied that he doesn't know what they are doing, but thinks they are dealing with some sort of food that the Zeldon eat. Who has requested an audience with the leaders and asks them about their cards of judgment. There are 37 in the pack, 19 black and 18 white. As well as for judgment, they are used in an attempt to predict the future, and even for games. The Bavar believe in chance. It has ruled us for as long as history. Who is interested and asks, if he can deal 6 white cards straight off the top, will they let him go? In face of the odds, they agree. Who starts to shuffle the pack. Tegan and friends are bullied back to work by a Zeldon. The puce-faced man bends and works with them. The Zeldon warns that any more slacking will result in punishment. Who finishes shuffling the pack and quite deliberately deals 6 white cards off the top. There is much excitement and disbelief, but they can find nothing wrong. "Chance is on our side," he says. Then, despite warnings that they will be watched, they return to their room. "How did you do it?" Turlough wants to know. "Pure chance." "I don't believe you." "Well, I have been known to cheat once or twice." They agree that they must now try to get into the Zeldon city. Still working, Tegan asks the puce man what his illness is. He doesn't know that either, only that everyone gets it, then dies of it. Tegan is horrified.
Part 3. Norrell slips into Who's room and leads the two away. She wants all her people freed, as well as Tegan. She's thrown the dice, and the omens are favourable. Just before dawn, Tegan and her friends decide to make a break for it. They leave their hut and run like hell away from the fields. Who and company are watching from a distance with bated breath. But, at the last moment, a Zeldon sees them, fires, and they are thrown stunned to the ground. He makes them get to their feet and return. Noticeably, he stays well clear of the sick man. Who observes that since his group all have two eyes, all they can do is pretend to be slaves. Norrell is appalled. They will never escape. But there's no alternative. They sneak forward and join Tegan's group as it sets out to work from the hut. Then they pretend to work while Tegan explains what she can. The Bavars, meanwhile, are concerned at their disappearance, but a cast of the dice shows mainly black, and they give up hope. Who is puzzled by what they are doing? He can see no purpose to it at all. He starts to poke and pry, taking samples, peering through his magnifying glass, etc. What he doesn't notice is that Norrell has disappeared. She has gone to see the chief of the Zeldon to inform on Who. She is, of course, a spy. Information for freedom. The chief is not too perturbed, but will ensure that a weather eye is kept on Who, though he cannot see what harm they can do. Despite her fear of the sickness, he insists that Norrell stay for a while, then she'll be spirited back to her own city. With much poking and prying, Who works out the power process, then wonders if he can find a way to reverse it. After all, it's a man-designed process. What one can do, another can undo. At this, Norrell slips away again.
Part 4. Doctor Who is taken to the Chief, who warns him not to meddle or he'll be made to suffer for it. He could be locked up, but that would be wasted labour. He will work in the fields under strict supervision. But Doctor Who is bent upon getting into the laboratory where the virus is bred. Turlough stages a distraction by pretending to be in agony, and Doctor Who and Tegan get away, both now disguised as having sickness. Once in the lab, Doctor Who sets to examining various culture specimens that he finds there. But he's been rumbled. Turlough is subjected to questioning but gives nothing away, claiming ignorance. A search is mounted and Doctor Who and Tegan nearly caught, but their sickness disguise frightens off the guard and they get away, Doctor Who with various cultures in the pockets. The Chief is beside himself, worried now about what Doctor Who might be up to, but find him he cannot, for the simple reason that he and Tegan have returned to their hut. Norrell would like to give them away, but a slip of the tongue has betrayed her to Turlough, and he makes sure she can carry no messages. The Doctor fiddles with the cultures and finally mixes two together, smiling with pleasure when he gets the result he wanted. But Norrell has worked free of her bonds and shouts for help. Immediately, our three run into the fields, pursued by the guards. One gun brings down Turlough, then Doctor Who, but not before he's opened the container and hurled its contents over the plants. Confronted by the Chief, he tells him that the new virus will breed with the symbiotic one, is already doing so, and will no longer produce power from the plants. The Chief pours scorn on the idea, but Doctor Who suggests he look at the fields. They have changed colour, and the plants are dying. The Chief is now bent upon killing Doctor Who, but with an already weakening power supply, his gun won't operate with any force. The lights flicker, and the sounds of an angry crowd come from outside. The captives are falling on the Zeldon. The Chief and his henchmen rush away in an attempt to escape. Back in the Bavar city, Doctor Who jots down a formula he has worked out for curing the sickness, then prepares to leave. But the Bavar are worried about the Zeldon getting their power back. Doctor Who throws the dice, and they come up mostly white. And what's more, I'll give you 92 on it if you like.
Introduction in Part 1 read by Craig Brawley, Part 2 by James Hadwen-Bennett, Part 3 by Peter Watson, and Part 4 by Ken Moss. Music by Peter Howell. Well, guys, that was something we've just listened to.
I thought the chap who read episode 3 was very good. Perhaps people could send him an email and tell him what they thought of it.
Where should that email go to, Dave?
Go to the Earth2podcast at gmail.com. Mark for the attention of Peter Watson.
Interesting.
I thought the production values were incredibly high.
Yes, I thought all the readers were outstanding in their fields.
They were. I thought Doctor Who, Tegan and Turlough were in it.
Yeah.
I actually felt it was I could imagine Peter Davison running around doing his do with his throwing his celery in the air and putting out his coattails, and I could also imagine John Pertwee doing the same, and Patrick Troughton doing the same, and I didn't really feel. I felt it was just kind of like there's the Doctor and his companions. Choose your favourites and stuff them in.
Yeah, I think what we're trying to see here is this is not very good, and this is why it wasn't made.
Well, it's just right. I have to say, second time I listened to it, it penetrated my brain fog a little more, and I could see the potential, and I could definitely, such as there was sort of reported dialogue and stuff, I could imagine Davison sort of doing it. I could picture it all quite easily, but it was sort of. There's a tendency with some mid-80s Doctor Who to be very uninspired and not very original and bordering on sort of generic sort of sci-fi, something like Time Lash. For all that it kind of predated the celebrity historicals of the modern era, it is quite it's just a bit of a rebels and run around and no real surprises and crappy twists. And this was like, it felt the sort of thing Eric Saber would put out if he had nothing else in the cupboard.
Yeah, and had you just added Atlantis to it, it would have just formed part of canon. The standout line for me, and Kenny, I'm really cross with you because you should have thought of this with your sound effects, because you include a gun effect later on as the Zeldons fire and they stun people, but it's described the Zeldons have guns much resembling miniature typewriters. What were they going to do? QWERTY people into submission? And all I could hear was sort of a ding. And I'm disappointed that your production values did not reach the ding.
Okay, so you want it to sound like this?
Perfect. Absolutely.
There'll have to be a special edition.
Yeah.
What it is? I mean, I can't even think. I mean, I'm a cartoonist at heart. I can't even think of how to draw a gun resembling a miniature typewriter. Does it have carbon paper?
So I'm picturing it being side on, so you could type fire, and then like the carriage return will go bing,
and then stop
across the way, holding it across the way rather than straight on at you.
Would they all have typewriters in their chests?
Right, okay, yeah. A bit more
like a 10th Planet Cyberman.
Yeah.
Jinx. Yeah.
Replace the accordion with the typewriter.
I mean, the thing that really stood out for me was that I listened to it kind of 1.5 times. It reminded me very much of one of the slightly ropier annual stories, and I feel it would have been much more at home in one of the Doctor Who annuals, and perhaps would have benefited from a bit of polishing up and being read in one of the audio collections of the annuals. But I just couldn't picture that as being anything remotely approaching engaging television.
I'm feeling, I think, surprisingly more generous about it than I thought I would. I can imagine, that's presumably that was his, it's quite a detailed outline. It would have been worked on and expanded, and I can imagine if it had been cast well, if a reasonably competent director, it wouldn't have been too bad, because there is some interesting. The whole thing with the dice is quite interesting. I can imagine Davison stripped down to his shirt sleeves with his half moon glasses on, working out the cure type thing. I can actually imagine it working quite well if it had a better if it wasn't Sabred that was scripted and John Nathan Turner producing. What if Graham Harper had directed it or something? Do you know what I mean? I think it was definitely not worse than a lot of mid-80s Doctor Who, but obviously it was worse than a lot of other mid-80s Doctor Who. I'm surprised that I'm being so defensive about it or on its side. The bit that struck me was like, I was very amused at the very early sort of separation of the Doctor and Turlough from Tegan, because Tegan had to go back into the ship because she forgot something, and you're like, what would she have forgotten?
Yeah, I was exactly the same.
Sun cream,
I need to know
a handbag,
dice.
Yeah, so that felt a little clumsy, and obviously listening to it twice, the full ins and outs haven't sort of lodged in my head, but I was sort of like, I could see the potential. As generic as it was, I could see, if it had been well realised, well directed, well cast, well lit, well costume designed,
More typewriters.
Yeah.
John, you said you saw a lot of analogies with Galaxy 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it could be said a lot of stories where you have the two tribes, the two species living alongside each other, but so going straight back to the Daleks and the Thals and so on. I mean, the thing about Galaxy 4 was it was a clever sort of inversion of expectation between the Dravins and the Rills, whereas this one is kind of just reverted back to what you would expect. You've got the hideous one-eyed armor wearing typewriter gun wielding baddies against they sound remarkably like Thals, in fact.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Blonde, slight, and beautiful, to quote.
That's a really good point.
I used to be blonde, slight, and beautiful, of course. So,
but John, you still are.
In there.
You still are.
Alas.
If only people could see you on the YouTube channel.
Well, I'm very blonde now.
Ultra blonde.
Ultra blonde, yeah.
Something about the way John summarised the bare bones with it actually reminded me of another epic science fiction story from another medium. The Adventures of the Human League in Outer Space from Viz Comic.
You better explain. I know exactly what you're talking about, for those who don't.
Which is a half-page comic strip when, it starts with a space... I'll describe it in the Earth 2 style. Start with open with a little space rocket with 3 portals, shuttling through the galaxy, and Phil and the 2 girls, poking their eyes out the portals. And, let's land on this planet. They meet an alien who tells them that they've been at war with the other tribe of aliens. And another alien rocks up, and Phil's like, and the girls are like, why are you fighting? What's been going on? And like, we don't know. We've been fighting for so long, we can't remember. And then I think Phil or one of the girls suggests, well, look, why don't you just have a pop concert instead? And it finishes with all the aliens together in the crowd watching the Human League up on stage. Are performing "Don't You Want, Don't You Want Me?" And it's amazing. And I think about it often in the 30 odd years since it was published, and just the way John just boiled it down there, just to the basics of really, it's like it's Morlocks and what's their faces from the Time Machine, basically, again, isn't it?
Isn't it? The odd thing about the end, I would assume would have been fixed, is Doctor Who wipes out Doctor Who. He wipes out the plants, therefore there is no power. So I'm assuming the Zeldons are all collapsing into anarchy, and so the next thing, the other lot come on and just beat them up and take them over and make them their slaves or cattle.
Well, after they have the pop concert, they all just sit around a big table and sort everything out.
Yeah.
Probably learning it's better not to fight.
Yeah.
I suppose it wouldn't have made a great ending if everyone had been in agreement.
Of course, it's worth following on from your point there, Dave, that not that I read Viz or anything like that, but it still continues to be strongly inspired by and refer to Doctor Who on a regular basis. So someone in there is clearly a Doctor Who fan.
Yeah. There was a thing in one of the yearbooks a couple of years ago that Tom sent sent Kenny and I through. Well, I can't remember the details of it. It was it like a confessions of sort of thing? I can't remember. That's a great anecdote from me there, isn't it? But no, the one we always talk about, Kenny and I always talk about dramatising, is Doctor Pooh.
Travelling through time and space, trying to have a...
Maybe we will. Maybe we should do... Maybe we keep saying we're going to do it. Maybe that could be this year's Christmas Day episode.
I like that, actually. That'll be about... They'll probably work out as episode 600 at this rate.
Yeah, because you could do sound effects and stuff. You know, you could have, like, you know, the sea devils emerging from the water. You could have various, you know, flatulent sort of sound effects and things. Yes, it'd be quite... I bet Peter's eyes would roll out of his head.
Yeah. I was thinking, like, next week the Sontarans attack as the Doctor tries to lay a cable off the M4.
That's right. Fantastic. You've got friends. You could get Fraser Hines to get in touch with Fraser and get him to do Jamie's lines, and we could get John Coulshaw to do the Fourth Doctor. Get Terry Malloy to do Davros. Easy. Get Briggsy to do the Daleks. It'd be amazing.
I can't hear Nick sing the words "dirty bastard, dirty bastard."
It's a thought. Maybe if we ask him nicely.
No, I cannot see that happening. We're slightly off-brand, and he might get into trouble. So,
that's true.
Yes, but
anyway,
going back to the Zeldon, I was thinking about how they'd be realised, given that they've got one eye, and I was just thinking, you know, obviously you either think of monoids or Dalek Sec in this humanoid form,
or Alpha Centauri.
Of course, well, yes. And I was thinking more along the lines of like the Minotaur from the Time Monster, but with one eye and looking not very good and very shiny and over brightly and badly lit.
Or Crayola from the Victoria Wood sketch.
Yes. Hello, Crayola.
Yes.
I think I saw, when I listened through this, I saw mostly everything in white, and I saw monoids. You know, the set didn't have much depth to it. It was one of those, again, back to Atlantis, and it was just monoids. That's all I saw every time they were mentioned.
No mention of a security kitchen, though, in this story.
Now, look, hang on a minute.
That's very good.
I had to do my Stephen impression there.
That's very good. I thought he was in the room.
Or maybe I'm waiting for a First Doctor novel to be done so I can do my Purvis impression.
There is one in the cards, Dave. Don't you worry, you'll get to do that one.
Excellent.
Interesting thing going through this is the fact that Tegan meets the couple who don't get names, whereas other characters do.
Yeah, that's right.
Tegan and her friends decide to make a break for it. The fact that they don't get names, like not even like John and Nora or anything like that, it's just weird.
Yeah, John and Nora probably would have been played by two famous sitcom actors.
Terry and June.
They would have been a revelation because they'd be playing it straight and, you know, with great depth and seriousness. It's very, you know, and as was often the case in those days.
Very Happiness Patrol.
Yeah, like Beryl Reid and Earthshock, that sort of thing, and or you know, or everyone in Martin from off of Ever Decreasing Circles and Paradise Towers, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and we also, of course, had that great character of the puce-faced man, who sounds like somebody out of the X-Files. Yeah, you can see that this is very much an outline and a work in progress.
You can imagine the puce-faced man doing a signing at 10th Planet in 2002 or something, when this story came out on DVD.
There's also talk about the Zeldon kind of avoids him, and I don't think that's really explained. I know they say if you handle the stuff, then you're all going to die, but you've got some mention of the Zeldon kind of walking carefully around him or something. I wasn't quite sure where they were going with that. Obviously, you know, if the Zeldons touch it, it's a real problem. But you could imagine Janet Fielding, you know, when finding out, it probably would have been a cliffhanger. You know, you handle this, you'll die. We'll die. Incredible.
Yeah, that was the thing that felt very authentic, was the kind of spoken word aspect of a lot of the cliffhangers, where we're told what the threat is rather than just, you know, led to it or shown, or that felt very era authentic. David Steele coming out here is the biggest fan of this story.
You're talking your way round.
When you know, this afternoon I was like, oh God, I can't be arsed doing this. I can't think of anything to say.
Good old Turlough feigning injury or pain once again. Is it my imagination, or does Turlough have to do that quite a lot? during his tenure.
When he's not being locked up, yeah. But it's interesting that they paired the Doctor and Turlough together and left Tegan to go off on their own.
Yeah.
Which I thought was quite interesting.
Yeah.
The fact that you'd usually would tend to get male-female combo, and then the male companion goes off and does their thing. So I thought that was quite interesting.
So as I said, I knew nothing about this until you just said there that it was William M's.
These storylines are submitted quite often to the BBC Studios, the BBC production office, as was, and obviously quite a lot of the paperwork survives in archives, and there are others that were submitted at this time as well. So
Interesting.
maybe we could have a look at one of the other ones, or in fact, the two other ones that there are that I know to exist at some point in the future as well.
Timey-wimey.
I think, Dave said as well, it'd be quite interesting to completely understand, if you were submitting like something like this, there's somebody saying to you, listen, just submit your base idea. No one will ever broadcast it on any kind of information retrieval system in the future with people listening to it and making fun of you. So no one's going to see it. Just put in your quickest effort. Just spend a couple of hours this afternoon, and if we like it, we'll develop it, and if we don't, no one will ever see it again.
Yeah.
It's very much an outline. I mean, there's obviously, it is scant in detail, like character names. So we get the puce-faced man and the couple. The fact that the leader of the Zeldon doesn't get a name, he's just called the leader, rather than having a name like Gargon or something like that.
Yeah, it's a total sort of first draft sort of thing, isn't it? I am defending it. It would have been expanded on, it would have been worked on. I mean, I'd love to see the correspondence. Did William M, was he approached? Did he approach them? Did his, something must have been in the water, especially if he got the book published,
Yeah,
They must have been off the back of him novelising Galaxy 4, I imagine.
I would imagine so. He must have sort of got this. I'm just having a quick look. Doctor Who and the Zeldon, says the cover page, a synopsis for a 4-parter by Bill Ems. So, yeah, I think that's a good shout, Dave. I think that doing his novelisation for Target and then doing the Make Your Own Adventure with Doctor Who book, which was the Imps, but I cannot remember what its original title was. It was originally for Troughton I think it was for season 4. And then, I'm sure it was something like that.
Let's have a look, see if I've got it, because there were 6 of those books. Yeah, well, it was Mission to Venus. That was the one that...
Dave, give us the back cover blurb for it.
Have you ever longed to climb aboard the TARDIS and enter another dimension? Meet the Doctor and join him in outwitting his enemies? Well, now's your chance. All you need is a pair of dice, a pencil, a little bit of luck, and all of your wits about you. Ready? Mission to Venus. Evil forces have hijacked the starship Medusa on an urgent rescue mission. Time and fuel are running out, and it's up to the Doctor and you to conquer the invaders and save the colonists of Venus. Now, open the covers and join the Doctor in an adventure through time and space.
Get your miniature typewriters ready.
The cover's not the best by Gail Bennett, is it? It looks like it's been penciled and not quite finished.
Well, the key words there, old mate, are Gail Bennett. Cover to...
Crisis in Space is good.
Crisis in Space is pretty decent. Yeah, if you can see that one, everyone, Crisis in
Do we all
Space.
have these books out of interest, apart from Dave and
Search for the Doctor.
I don't know.
Search for the Doctor.
Not anymore. I think I had some of these Make Your Own Adventure.
Invasion of the Ormazoids by Philip Martin. So that'll probably be some swearing and a lot of breaking the fourth wall and odd non sequiturs. Ages since I watched Gangsters. I should do that again. Interesting.
I got all of those books in York. Because we were away in 1986, I think it was because my grandpa died and we went down to York, my first time visiting England, and I had The Fury from the Deep novelisation with me at the local library in hardback.
There's 2 that I don't have. I don't have Race Against Time, and I don't have Garden of Evil.
That's one by Dave Martin. And Race Against Time, was that the Pip and Jane one with the Rani?
I think it is, yeah. I remember when I was doing my big thread of comic covers with the names of Doctor Who books, I found that I did ones for a few of them last year. Because that's right, it was an issue of the Defenders that had Garden of Evil written on the front, didn't it? That's right, yeah. Yeah, I have no idea where I got these. I can't remember. I've got a feeling it might have been in a book's remainder sort of place or something. I don't know.
I'd like to make an admission here, just while we're talking about these kind of books, and I can't tell you when, but it was when I was coding years and years ago. So I would have been probably in my early 20s, maybe maybe 18, 19, but I actually wrote a Doctor Who adventure through... Do you remember the kind of adventure games you used to get where you type go north, go south, go
Yes.
east, go west, kill the dragon? I wrote one of those. It was called Dr. What. And even at that point, I am still worried about copyright and made sure that I wasn't mentioning any actual things. It was terrible. I went looking for the original discs to see if I could load it up because I thought it might be something you guys would make a program out of. Sadly, I can't seem to find it. But if anybody out there finds a copy of Dr. What, because it was on what we call public domain in the days before the internet, where people swapped discs rather unsafely and spread many viruses. But perhaps the Earth 2 podcast email might be useful if anyone finds Dr. What.
Yes.
W-O-T exclamation mark.
I have to get Googling for that later. Interesting.
I've been trying.
Oh, that's a shame. Hey, let's have some closing thoughts then on what we thought about the Zeldon. Potential, but could you see it replacing any story in season 21?
I could see it replacing Frontios quite easily.
Yeah.
Because Frontios is, it's not quite the sum of its parts. Maybe Resurrection of the Daleks would have been nobbled by a strike and they would have done this instead.
Oh, I do hope not.
Tegan would have stayed behind and formed a nice little throuple with the couple.
Oh.
It's... I don't know. It's an interesting... I don't know. My opinion in season 21 changes all the time. Often I think it's all good, and sometimes I think it's all terrible, apart from the Awakening and Rosanni. So I don't know. I mean, I think if there are other William M's stories from around the same period, I think we should probably have to do them as well, just to sort of see if they're any better or worse.
Stay tuned to the Power of 3 podcast.
I think it's very generic. And I don't see it replacing anything that's been done. I mean, season 21 had its ups and downs. Frontiers actually was one of those ones that could potentially have been very good and was very heading towards horror until it broke bits of it. And the Dalek story was good, and Tegan's goodbye was good. I don't... If I see it fitting anywhere, Warriors of the Deep, it has that kind of flavour to it, and maybe that could have been expanded to be a Warriors of the Deep sans Merca. Sorry, Merca.
No, I don't see it replacing anything anywhere. Certainly not in season 21. I guess the thing about chance and about the dice, the cards, and all that. I mean, that has the kernel of an interesting idea. It's not really. I don't think it's really explained. It's just kind of said, well, it's because they're, there's nothing they can depend on other than being enslaved or picked on by the Zeldon. But so I did get a bit of that kind of vibe from Snake Dance, with the kind of fortune teller, that kind of exchange with with Tegan and all that. So there was a slight bit of that I thought, I could sort of see something there, but really that was the only thing that kind of that piqued my interest, shall we say. I know that sounds really harsh, but yeah, it would have been better as an annual story, I think.
I think if they'd concentrated on the miniature typewriters and we'd worked out what Tegan had forgotten, that could have been an entire story in itself.
Yeah, well, I mean, ideally, what Tegan had to go back for would have been something that would have become essential to the plot.
A word processor to educate them. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a typewriter, maybe a packet of A4 paper.
Some Tipex.
I think she would have just gone back for the plot. Just realised that they had lost it.
Maybe she would have typed the plot in the TARDIS and brought it out.
Yes.
An ink ribbon.
Yes.
There we go.
And other silly, irreverent suggestions that show we're not taking it entirely seriously. No disrespect to William Eames if he's listening.
I know. I mean, Galaxy 4, I think, was a masterful story.
I quite like Galaxy 4. The ending's brutal. There's some good stuff in it.
Yeah.
I think the animation was excellent. And Stephen gets to be stroppy in a couple of scenes, so it's always good.
And it kind of and it was ahead of its time in all sorts of ways, So
Girl power, guys.
I'm not cocking a snook at Mr. M's.
No. Well, peeps, if you've enjoyed this episode, feel free to check out our social media at Power of 3 Pod, where we'll be sharing some bonus content in this episode, perhaps the cover of the script that you've just listened to. We are on Twitter at Power of 3 Pod with a number 3, on Blue Sky at Finish Scene, and we have our Facebook group too. So, fellas, I think it's quite obvious what tune we're going to play out with, because Dave pretty much set it out.
Did I? Well, that was clever of me, wasn't it?
Yeah, because we're going to get some peace with a pop concert, aren't we?
Oh, of course.
Oh,
yes.
yeah, okay.
Hey, let's play the cover version by Alcazar. That'd be good.
Can we mash it up with the typewriter song that they do on the orchestra that they use for the news quiz? You'll know.
Well, and also, I don't wish to be, pigeonholing myself as someone who only listens to ABBA, but ABBA deserves an honourable mention for "Take a Chance on Me" or "The Winner Takes It All."
This is true.
This
is true. I think ABBA's maybe more likely to get us a copyright strike, isn't it? Be banging on as usual, banging on about.
We maybe need a dice song. So, luck be a lady tonight.
True.
Oh, luck if you've ever been a lady to begin with. Luck be a lady tonight.
Oh look, they're all white.
Tumbling Dice by the Rolling Stones. That's an option.
One more chance, Pet Shop Boys.
Oh yeah.
I had to get one in. There we go. Single mix,
The
which was
Purple
never released.
People
Is
Eater.
brilliant.
There you go.
Yeah, I was thinking it too.
Yep.
Stevie, yep.
On that bombshell. Happy 500 episodes. Here's to another 500, which we'll probably reach by the end of the year.
Isn't that a Proclaimers song? Another 500.
Oh yeah.
We'd record
500 miles, yes, of course.
Well, we'd record 500 podcasts, and we'll record 500 more.
Right.
Right. Bye.
Splendid. Bye for now. Bye-bye.